Hello, my name is Dmitrov Ivanov, and during World War I, I sadly lost my legs, and Russia suffered many major defeats against the Germans, which caused us to exit the war, and that led to my first-hand experience of the Russian Revolution. Throughout Russia, many of the Jews and serfs were beaten and abused in events that later became known as pogroms.
Yeah, and it's just like, I was just like chilling, and she came up to me.
All right, let's get back to work.
Sorry.
You're in the wrong part of town, you Jew.
No, please! I have a family!
The cause of the Russo-Japanese War was a territorial dispute over Manchuria and Korea.
Where is my general?
Sir,
What is the expected casualties?
they will be almost non-existent.
At the end of the war, the Japanese came out victorious, and Tsar Nicholas and Russia were a global embarrassment.
How could you have failed so hard, General? You have humiliated Russia.
I'm sorry, sir!
On the advice of my Prime Minister, Sergei Witt, I will be signing the October Manifesto.
The 1905 revolution and Bloody Sunday
We want rights
In the name of Tsar Nicholas!
were important because they signified the loss of trust between the people and the Tsar of Russia. After saving Tsarina Alexandra's son, Rasputin slowly became the puppeteer behind the Tsarina.
We want more power in our own country.
The people want more representation in governmental affairs.
I, Tsar Nicholas II, will be the only ruling body inside the Russian Empire.
No, the people demand more power.
And by my authority as Tsar of Russia, I shall establish a legislative body known as the Duma.
Multiple times the government has proven itself to be inadequate and negligent.
That only leaves us one choice. During this time of the March Revolution, we shall establish the provisional government and abdicate Tsar Nicholas II from the throne.
Vladimir Lenin, by order of the provisional government, we find you and your Bolsheviks guilty of treason.
We exile you and the Bolsheviks to Finland. Guard, take them away. We nominate you, Alexander Kerensky, to be the Prime Minister of our provisional government.
I humbly accept your proposition and will not fail in leading the provisional government.
After being exiled to Finland by the provisional government for forming the Bolshevik Party, Vladimir Lenin returned to join his Bolshevik forces in the November 1917 revolution. This revolution resulted in the overthrowing of the provisional government, establishing the Bolshevik Party as the government for Russia.
You red Bolsheviks shall never put down the great and almighty provisional government.
Power and representation for the people!
However, opposers to the Bolshevik Party, called Mensheviks, fought back against the newly established government, resulting in a Russian civil war. The Menshevik forces, called the White Army, fought many battles against the Bolshevik forces, called the Red Army. During this time, the Bolsheviks applied a policy called war communism, which destroyed the idea of privately owned property, all of which was reacquired by the government in order to inaugurate a communism-based economy throughout the country. War communism, however, proved to be extremely unsuccessful as the economy plummeted with starvation ravaging the people. The new economic policy was then put into place in order to abandon the original idea of a socialist economy and restore the economy. But in the end, the whites did not stand a chance against the disciplined, strategical reds and lost due to disunion and a lack of common goal between leaders.
In the end of the long and harsh Russian Civil War, the Reds, or Bolsheviks, defeated the provisional government, or whites, and in its place, the Soviet Union, or USSR, will be established.
One of the first things that the Bolsheviks did when they seized power was create the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. And basically what that did was take Russia out of the Great War, and it was an agreement between the Central Powers and Russia to take Russia out of the Great War. And years later, when the Bolsheviks came to be known as the Soviets, they were so intent on keeping their rule, they even created the Cheka, which was a secret police organization that made sure to enforce Soviet rule and suppress any opposers. But I really hope that no nation should ever have to go under the suffering and terribleness that was bestowed upon Russia during the Russian Revolution.